Okay, I wanted to reply to this. Thank you for your reply. I really appreciate it. Um, in the 4.5 years since this happened to me, and I just think it's very important to be very upfront. Mine, I was very lucky, happened in a clinic. I was at a Mercy clinic that had an emergency room attached to it. So, it was very well medically documented. It was, documented from the first moment that I had my reaction. Then I went to the ICU for a week. Then I feel like they just released me because they just didn't know what to do with me. And it was very much like, okay, here's your EpiPens, here's your prednisone, follow up with your PCP. And I remember saying, PCP, don't I need to see an allergist immunologist? Like, I'm sorry, but that seems like the next step. And it was like, oh yeah, it would probably be good for you to see one of those too. They didn't treat it as serious as I felt that it was, because it had so much more to do than just my throat and tongue swelling, and I literally felt like Darth Vader was in the corner doing a chokehold on me 24/7. And it would vary in degrees. Sometimes it would just be enough to be just really constantly annoying, and then it would be just almost unbearable, and then that was when I would have to take an EpiPen. So, and not only that, but I felt like my whole body was shutting down. And now they very strongly suspect that it was Guillain-Barré. And, Guillain-Barré is very scary. It can kill you. And it can turn into a long-term serious condition known as CIDP, which I have been diagnosed with since last year. But one thing that I have to talk about is the reason why I didn't turn into one of the anti-V people, and I can't say it, or TikTok will automatically censor me, is because you have to educate yourself. It can't just be the doctors, they have limited time. They can only spend so much time with you. I got out ChatGPT on my tablet, and I started hitting every single medical research paper that I could find about people that were having allergic reactions. And it was very new. It was very, very new. And I don't use the word research, because research is what's done by the medical community. I call it education. And I would, Google, what's the lipid nanoparticle? What does it do with the vaccine? How does that work? What are some possibly known issues that could have happened? Was it maybe not properly refrigerated? Was it a true allergic reaction? And that's what I've done for 4.5 years. And I love that I have doctors and specialists that to this day I will see a research paper and send it to them in email, and is this possibly a clue? Is this, from everything that I've read over the last 4.5 years, it seems like this does in many ways categorize me. So currently, after 4.5 years of I've got, I think, over 140 pages of lab tests. The diagnosis is as stands. And if you watch some of my older TikToks, you will see that, I was diagnosed with something else, because that was the only thing that fit at the time. And then they realized, okay, it's not this, it's really probably this. So that's why diagnosis changes over time. Right now, it stands at what happened, they believe, was I immediately had an anaphylaxis reaction. They did HLA DNA testing on me, and it said that I had PEG antibodies. And through all the research that they've been doing, that was one of the primary theories, was that the people like me, the rarest of the rare, that we just had this obscenely horrific, rare allergic reaction to PEG, which is polyethanol I never can say the G part right. Anyway, but PEG is used in millions of everyday products. Millions. It's even in food. It's in cosmetics, shampoo, body washes. And PEG was chosen because it's so vastly used that an allergic reaction to it is extremely very rare. So for me, the process that they believe happened was, it was just dominoes falling. It was first the immediate reaction, like as soon as it got into my arm, I started having this burning, tingling sensation. And then I had what was called a complement activated adverse reaction, and it's your C complement, your C1, C3, C4, C5, and all of that is like your body's computer processor for inflammation. And it was just this systemic pattern of one thing after another. And so they believe that it was the allergic reaction. Then I was already probably heavily prone for mast cell activation syndrome. Then that triggered. Then there's this rare genetic disorder known as hereditary angioedema. And all of these things have to do with inflammation. And they think that then the HAE woke up because it was dormant in my genetics. And then, it was the CARPA, which is the complemented activated pseudo allergy, and they call it pseudo. My doctor hates it being called pseudo because she's like, makes it sound like it's not real, but what it really means is you can, once that complement is activated, it's impossible to shut off, and you can basically every day change what you're allergic to or what your body is going to react to. So that's a lot of fun. No. And then they also believe that it was something that was called post-vaccination urticaria disease. Again, all has to do with inflammation. Then the CIDP was diagnosed. Ehlers-Danlos has been diagnosed. And the newest one, and I'm trying not to freak out too much about this one, it's called Fuchs or Fuchs. It's Fuch. And it is really horrible inflammation in your eyes, of all things. And it too is genetic. And it's going to result in me having to have a cornea transplant in both eyes, because you get inflammation and fluid buildup in your corneas. There's no cure for it. All that you can do is basically saline eye drops, because the salt content in the eye drops is supposed to help draw out the fluid and inflammation in your eyes. And then there's a over-the-counter vitamin called AREDS that you're supposed to take. So that's where it stands. And I'm nowhere near as horrible as I was that first year. That first year, every single day I thought was going to be my last day. It was just awful. But now I'm stuck. I'm not really well, but I'm not as severe as I was. So I am in just kind of this holding pattern where I'm sort of managed, but not enough to actually be able to really do anything. This is my ginormous medical cart. And these are supplements, all the medications I have. I'm currently on $3 million of medication that is currently specialty medication. I'm also on an extremely high dose of IVIG. It's 300 milligrams every 23 days. That takes a 5-day infusion to give me. So I am on absolutely every kind of medicine that they can give me to try to combat this, but it's still just so severe that all of this medication is just kind of keeping me in stasis. I'm hovering between chronic flares that put me into the ICU for a week at a time. No real quality of life, because I'm not independent anymore, but it's going to be a long road. It's constant testing, it's constant monitoring from my doctors, and there's just hope that in the future there might be something discovered that will truly help.